Hello, Year 2. Over the next few lessons, we're going to be doing our big piece of writing. We're going to be writing a fact file. If we go back to the very beginning of our videos, we were looking at the story of Mary Seacole, and Mrs. Jalaf showed you all the different things, all the different chapters and subheadings we had about her life, and then we learnt our text map. What we're going to do together is we're going to change our text map. And what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to go away and do some planning. And then over the next few lessons, we're going to come back and we're going to slowly build up our text map. Now, the strange thing is that this is a fact file and facts are true. But what we're going to do is we're going to create a fact file about a person who doesn't really exist. So although we're going to talk about their life, we're going to make all of that up. Now, the person whose life we're going to talk about is you. When we did our topic on space, we asked you what you want to be when you grow up. So today, you're going to plan what you'd like to be when you grow up. Now, you can be anything you like in the whole wide world, as long as it really, really exists. So you can't suddenly become an alien or a hedgehog, because those aren't real jobs. You're going to need to think about what you want to be and what you want to be famous for. So it's not good enough to just say, I want to be a football player. You're going to have to think about what kind of football player are you going to be? What are you going to be famous for? How are you going to be remembered in your lifetime? I am going to be an ice cream inventor. So I'm going to invent new flavors of ice cream. That's what I want to be. So I'm going to be an ice cream inventor. I'm going to create new flavors of ice cream. You also need to decide what you want your finished piece of work to look like. So do you want to do a text map like we've got here on Mary Seacole? Or would you like to make it into a little mini book where you could have your front cover with your name and your picture, and inside you could have your contents, and you could have your born and your occupation, your early life, where you lived, what you achieved, and how you'll be remembered. And you could do all of those as separate pages with the contents at the beginning and then subheadings on each page. So before our next session, before you watch the next video, I need you to go away and think about, to plan. What is it that you're going to be when you grow up? And see if you can find a picture of yourself to stick onto our text map. You might also want to think about some of your achievements. So maybe I'm going to invent a new flavour of ice cream. And I'm going to travel all over the world to test ice creams. Now, one of the countries that's very famous for making ice cream is Italy. So I think I'm going to go and live in Italy for a while so I can learn about how to make ice cream in Italy. And then I might go to Canada and visit Ben and Jerry's factory in Canada and find out how they make ice cream there. So before I open my factory, I think I might come back to England and open my factory in England. Now, when I'm writing my fact file in the next few lessons, I might change my mind and change things around, but this is just my plan to get started, because if I don't have a plan, I won't know what to do. So I'm going to be an ice cream inventor. I'm going to be remembered for inventing new flavours of ice cream. I'm going to have to think about that one very carefully. What flavour do I want? Don't want it to be anything that makes people go, ugh. And I want people to buy it so I can be super rich and live in a huge, enormous house with a swimming pool. And then I'm going to think about countries that I might go to. And if you're a famous author, you're someone who wants to grow up and write books, maybe There's different places you'd like to go, so you can write your books in different countries. Do you remember when we started reading The Secret Garden? And the beginning of it was set in India. So maybe you could have lived in India for a while to be able to write a bit about what life is like in India in your books. If you're a famous doctor, maybe you go to different countries to help look after sick people there and learn about medicines in different countries. So you might go to Africa where they need a lot of help and they're very sick children, and you might go and look after children there. So you might spend some time living in Africa. So I want you to think about what you might like to be, and maybe you could have lots of different ideas, because that's what we do at school sometimes, isn't it? We brainstorm all the things we could be when we grow up, and then we choose the one we actually want. And the problem we have is that sometimes we get our ideas from other people. So you might have to go and ask people in your house, or maybe when you're out clapping for our heroes on a Thursday, you could ask your neighbours what they wanted to be when they grew up. Some other people, we don't all end up being what we want to be, but we have lots of ideas. My daughter always wanted to be a mermaid. When she was little, used to say to her, "What do you want to be?" And she'd say, "I'm going to be a mermaid when I grow up." You know, she doesn't want to be a mermaid now. Now she wants to be a famous actress. So things change. So your idea can be as unusual as you like it to be, as long as it's real. I will see you next time for the start of our text map, writing our text map. See you, year two.